Welcome back. 1 in 4 Americans are still procrastinating on getting their taxes done, and 89% of Americans are planning to use their tax refunds for essentials or savings this year. If you fall under either of these categories, don't worry, we got you covered. Today we have Tyler Hines, a TurboTax expert, joining us in the studio to share with us some essential tax filing tips to help you navigate the process, avoid the stress, and maybe even get that refund you've been waiting for. Thank you, Tyler, for being here with us today.
You're welcome. Morning, John.
Yeah, now I know obviously a very tense moment, but also very important as people are filing their taxes. And I talked about it right there about procrastinating. And I mentioned to you, I am one of those people falling in that procrastination bin. Talk to me about why people are so hesitant or worried or make this an intimidating time to file their taxes.
Yeah, so first off, people are nervous about taxes because taxes are complicated, and when you have a lot of complication, a lot of terms that you don't know, people tend to avoid it. They want to stay away because it's too hard for them to understand. So I think people just get overwhelmed and they just need help and they don't know where to start.
Yeah, now obviously understanding why they are overwhelmed, how can people avoid the stress of procrastination even now or in the future?
Yeah, so the first thing to know is that it never hurts to gather all your documents before you file a tax return. So you typically want to make sure you're keeping good records throughout the year. That will allow you to be prepared, and then you're not, scrambling at the last minute to gather all your expenses. So preparation's key.
Yeah, I feel like you're talking to me right there with that tip. With that as well, obviously, as people now are rushing to meet the deadline, what are some of the common mistakes that they may come across, obviously, so that we just avoid those?
Yeah. So the common mistake that people make is thinking that, let's say the April 15th deadline comes up and they don't have their documents together, that if they just file an extension, then there's nothing else to be worried about. Filing an extension is good, but the only thing, it only allows you time to file the tax return. It doesn't give you an extension of time to pay if you have a balance due. So you want to make sure that you try to estimate how much money you'll owe and pay that as well as filing the extension. So then you'll be safe to file on October 15th.
Yeah, I think that's a very good tip because I think sometimes people do look for that extension or think that's, a kind of a safe route when they are kind of delayed. So you say, if anything, should they look to kind of start filing now instead of asking for that extension, or should they kind of resort to that?
Well, they should definitely ask for the extension if they're not going to be able to file by April 15th. But if they have a balance due or if they've owed money in prior years, they should also pay money along with filing that extension, so that way they won't be late on any payment.
Now, of course, with that as well, something else I think makes it sometimes complicated is figuring out the different tax laws, talking about deductions, credits. When we get into those topics, can you explain a few of those that people often overlook but might help them when it comes to their refund?
Yeah, so there are a variety of credits that are available to individuals, and I think one that is relevant that I find people don't know about is the American Opportunity Tax Credit. And this is for individuals who are enrolled in college, their undergraduate degree, so a bachelor's degree, and they can get this credit for 4 years. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that to qualify for that credit, you need to have what are called qualified education expenses, essentially tuition, books, and so forth. But what happens is a lot of students receive scholarships, and the way that this credit works, the scholarships reduce those qualified education expenses, so you get a smaller credit. However, what people don't know is if you use those scholarship funds, for example, for living expenses or other expenses outside of tuition, then you can actually add that back to your income and you can actually increase your American Opportunity Tax Credit. Wow. So it's something that not a lot of people know about. You don't have to reduce your scholarship, your qualified education expenses by the entire amount of your scholarship. You can reduce it by a portion of that to get a higher credit.
Wow, definitely very helpful to know, especially as a way to save money as well when you're filing these taxes.
Yes.
Another thing as well is that you obviously are an expert, and talk to me about how does TurboTax kind of help people who are looking to file their taxes versus filing it on paper or working with an accountant?
Yeah, so the major benefit of TurboTax is that we are an AI-driven expert platform. So we have an incredible software that guides you through everything from entering in your personal information through importing documents. Essentially, the TurboTax platform makes it very easy for you to file a tax return. And that is why it is beneficial. We also have something called TurboTax Full Service, where you can get an expert like myself to do your tax return for you. All you have to do is just upload your documents, and then I would prepare that tax return for you, and you get to see the results, and we can do everything same day. So I would say that TurboTax is by far the most efficient and effective way to get your tax return prepared.
Yeah, I mean, on that same boat, obviously, of having this resource and this assistance, for people who are maybe creatives working on the 1099, have these different, tax filing papers, do you also work with them? Is that something that TurboTax can assist them with as well?
Yes, so when you get connected in full service, for example, and you have various expenses, I would let you know, for example, what type of expenses are deductible, and I can help you, if you have documents, let's say you have bank statements, I can help you determine which ones are deductible, which ones aren't. So we make the process as easy for you as it can be. And so all you would have to do is just give your documents to us, and then we'll have a discussion, and we can prepare your return.
Yeah, and I think that's so important, especially with this kind of new generation of influencers, creators, different creatives as well. So thank you for sharing that. I mean, another point too is that 89% of Americans are using their tax refunds for essentials or savings. With seeing that number increase, talk to me a little bit about why you think people resort to this and use it as a means to kind of survive and make ends meet.
Yeah, so there's two issues. The first issue is that I think a lot of people don't necessarily understand what it means to get a refund, right? So what are you being refunded? Well, you're being refunded taxes that you overpaid during the year. And so it's not actually extra money when you get a refund, only in certain circumstances, like for example, if you're getting something called the child tax credit, then in that case, perhaps the refund is additional money. But for most people, all that means if you get a large refund, that means that you paid too much taxes during the year. And so what you would actually want to do ultimately is minimize the amount of refund by increasing your withholding during the year, so that way, or decreasing your withholding, so that way you'll have more money in your pocket.
Okay. Now, of course, with that as well, I mean, there's also the change of tax laws. They're always kind of changing. Anything that people who are looking to file now should be aware of? Any different tax laws that have changed since maybe last year, you'd say?
Yeah, I would say the big change that impacts small business owners or self-employed taxpayers is bonus depreciation. So prior to 2022, you were able to get 100% deduction for like a new asset, for example, that you purchased for your business. But in 2024, that you can only get 60% now. So that means business owners who purchase a lot of supplies or equipment that they depreciate, just know that you're not going to be able to write off the entire cost with bonus depreciation, only 60%.
Do they become aware of this as they're filing taxes? Is this something that they should know as they're looking to file before they even step into, obviously, meeting with an expert like yourself or meeting someone else?
It's not something that everyone knows prior to filing their tax returns, but the beauty about TurboTax, you can call in at any time during the year, and you can get in contact with an expert like me, and I can make you aware of what law applies to your situation, and you can use that information to make appropriate decisions throughout the year.
Now, of course, with that, there is then this thing of we received this refund at the end after filing our taxes. For anyone who received maybe a larger amount last year, anything they should be aware of to protect themselves, to make sure, obviously, they are going to be affected by it later on?
Yeah, so if you got an unexpectedly large refund, right, again, that means that you had too much taxes withheld from your paycheck during the year. And one thing I want to mention, inflation is an issue right now, right? Costs are rising. So ideally, you actually want to have more of your money in each paycheck rather than getting one large lump sum when you file your tax return, because the money is actually worth less at that point. So I would say for individuals who get large refunds, try to decrease your withholding by refilling out your Form W-4. And in fact, TurboTax provides a neat feature in your account. In TurboTax, it will use your information on your tax return and actually generate a W-4 for you. So you don't even need to try to figure out what to put on that form, and then you can just submit that to your employer.
Yeah, now of course, obviously having a software like a TurboTax, I mean, does it ever make it for people who are, maybe if people are intimidated, about putting in their information into an AI? Obviously, you mentioned this in-person also expert who can help you or be someone you can contact, but why should people look into a software like this, you'd say? I mean, especially with all that we're hearing about scams that we just talked about earlier and all these different things with online platforms.
Yeah, so we are an AI driven platform. So the information is not fed into an AI, but we use AI tools to make it easier and simpler for a taxpayer to prepare their tax return. So for example, you're able to import your W-2 information. You can upload a PDF, and our AI tool will scan the information and just pull right into the tax return. So you don't have to manually type in all the numbers. That's very helpful. We also have features where you can import your expenses from like a bank statement, and TurboTax would go through and try to figure out which one's business, and then you will just confirm whether, okay, this is a business expense, this is personal, and then it can just categorize everything for you. So things like that, that's how AI helps to make filing easy and quick.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for breaking even that down, because I think it's important to hear a different way, that the AI can use. With that as well, I mean, this I think is important for many people who may be filing for the first time. Any quick tips that you could share as well?
Yeah, so first time filer, what I want to say is congratulations. This is probably going to be the only time where you're going to be doing something for the first time that you'll continue doing year after year. But what I will say is don't worry too much. Chances are, if you're a first time filer, your situation's not that complex. You probably just have a W-2, you had a first job. So just know that taxes, even though they appear intimidating, if you use TurboTax, it'll be very simple because you have experts like me who are here to help you, and we have tools driven by AI that make it very simple. So I would say don't shy away and just give us a call or go to turbotax.com and we'll be here to help.
Amazing. And like you said, congratulations to them. Obviously something that they will start doing. With that as well, obviously, thank you, Tyler, so much for just sharing, obviously, your insightful expertise with us. And thank you. And happy tax season at that.
Yes.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
Now, of course, if you are looking for more information and tips on filing your taxes, please visit the website on your screen below. Stay tuned. We have more open for you right after this.